Hello everyone, it's that day of the week again, time for the Top 5 Wednesday tag. Today's topic is Top 5 Parents / Guardians / other adult-ish figures in literature. Now when I first read this topic, I was so super pumped. I was like, yeah, this is so easy, I'm gonna be hard to narrow it down to 5. And then I started actually trying to come up with a list, and boy was that a slap in the face, because I realized that no, there are not a lot of adult figures in YA especially that you can pick from, because most of them are either A, dead, B, clueless idiots who just have no idea what's going on, or the worst one of all, C, annoying clueless idiots who have no idea what's going on and yet still manage to screw everything up for the main characters. As you can see, I had a hard time coming up with 5 adult figures that I really felt strongly about and liked. Thankfully I did, so here I present to you, in my top favorite order, my favorite adult figures in YA. First up we have Miss Effie Trinket from The Hunger Games. Effie is a character, didn't really get her in the books, she was just kind of there for me. And then in the movie, I just felt like she completely came to life, and I like her character even more reading the books again. Seeing her on screen with her flamboyant outfits, it kind of added another layer to Effie's character for me. I think everything in Catching Fire just really solidified that idea for me, but the scene when Katniss was called for the second reaping, and her name was picked, just to like see Effie's face and see her emotions and her whole thing with how she wanted them all to have gold so they could be like a team, it just really reinforced the idea to me of how great Effie is, and she has amazing one-liners in both the movie and the books. They kind of pick on her in the first one, but she really grows into her own and they really come to love her in the next two, which is why I'm really scared to see what happens to her in the Mockingjay Part 1 movie, because we know Elizabeth Banks has said she's going to be in the movie. But Effie is not really mentioned in the books. We don't know what happens to Effie. We can only assume the worst fate, because why else wouldn't she be in the books? If we do see some sort of death or execution scene on screen, get the tissues. Next up, we're going to go down deeper to the ones that might not be as well known. That is Coach Hedge from the Heroes of Olympus series. There are a lot of great adult figures in both Percy Jackson series. Rick Riordan just has a way of writing adult characters that they're funny, yet they don't seem like clueless idiots. I easily could have picked the gods for this, but ultimately ended up going with Coach Hedge because he just makes me laugh, and the character development in his life is just so amazing throughout the books. The whole thing, if you haven't read the books, is just he wants to get in a fight and just smash everything. Like, he has a baseball bat that reminds me a lot of Styles from Teen Wolf, and he just likes to smash everything. And then in House of Hades, we find out that not only is he married, but he's having a child, and he's like staying away from them to help the kids, and it just showed how brave and how sweet he is, even though he claims that the kids all bother him. I really like Coach Hedge, and I can't wait to see what happens with him in Blood of Olympus. Hopefully he makes it. Number 3 on my list is Molly Weasley from the Harry Potter series. Now, easily I could have picked any adult from the Harry Potter series. They all deserve a spot on this list, including Snape, you Snape haters, okay? But Mrs. Weasley gets a spot on my list for one specific reason. Now, we know she's an excellent caregiver, and I love how well she treats Harry, but the reason I put her on this list is for the epic battle she had in the last book where she killed Bellatrix Lestrange. Bellatrix, let's be honest, she was a bitch witch that everyone wanted to die. And we all thought that Neville was going to kill her, but then in the last one, it turns out that Mrs. Weasley gets her badass on and kills Bellatrix in one of the best scenes, which I will now recite for you here. Bellatrix was still fighting too, 50 yards away from Voldemort, and like her master, she dueled 3 at once. Hermione, Ginny, and Luna, all battling their hardest. But Bellatrix was equal to them, and Harry's attention was diverted as a killing curse shot so close to Ginny that she missed death by an inch. He changed course. See, he really likes Ginny. Running at Bellatrix rather than Voldemort, but before he had gone a few steps, he was knocked sideways. "Not my daughter, you bitch!" Mrs. Weasley threw off her cloak as she ran, freeing her arms, and with a swipe of her hand she began to duel. Harry watched with terror and elation as Molly Weasley's wand slashed and twirled, and Bellatrix Lestrange's smile faltered and became a snarl. "What will happen to your children when I've killed you?" taunted Bellatrix, as mad as her master. "When Mummy's gone the same way as Freddie. You will never touch our children again," screamed Mrs. Weasley. Bellatrix laughed, the same exhilarated laugh her cousin Sirius had given as he toppled backward through the veil, and suddenly Harry knew what was going to happen before it did. Molly's curse soared beneath Bellatrix's outstretched arm and hit her squarely in the chest, directly over her heart. The watching crowd roared and Voldemort screamed. Do I need to say more? Because that was just completely epic. Number 2 on my list also comes from the Hunger Games, and that is Haymitch Aberrant. I don't know how you say his last name. Sorry. Haymitch I just really love. I think he's a really good example of what winning the games can do to you, because when we learn about his whole backstory with how he just lost his family because he outwitted the game makers, and we see how much he really cares for Katniss and Peeta. And again, like Effie, the movie just enhanced Haymitch's character so much for me. I liked how he ended up staying with Katniss at the end. That made me really happy, how she kind of lost pretty much everyone in her actual family, and Haymitch became kind of like her surrogate family along with Peeta. I like how he takes care of Katniss. He's kind of like her pseudo-father in a way, but not at the same time, because she doesn't want a pseudo-father. But he and Katniss are really on the same brainwave, and I think that is why they get into so many fights and don't get along, because they are the same person. And I love Haymitch. If I was in the Hunger Games, I would want Haymitch as my mentor, and I would want Finnick as my partner. Just throwing that out there now. Time for my number 1 adult parent figure in YA. And that is going to be Jocelyn Fairchild from the Mortal Instruments series. Dun dun dun. Jocelyn, what can I say about Jocelyn? She's a badass, and that is, who doesn't want a badass for a mother? I know Clary and Jocelyn, they don't really get along at the beginning of the book, because Jocelyn is keeping secrets from Clary about who she really is, and of course that creates problems. But Jocelyn is just, throughout the entire series, she's always looking out for Clary, and I feel like her backstory just adds so much badassery to her, because we learn that basically she was married to the most evil guy in the whole entire universe, and she managed to evade him, trick him multiple times. I mean, it is one thing, but then the movie, I loved when she like knocked herself out, and she was like, you can tell Valentine he'll never get the cup, and then she like took the poison knockout spell, and that was a scene in the book. It was kind of mentioned, but just seeing it in the movie made her seem like such a cool, like, you could see the shadow hunter in her right there. And I love her whole relationship with Luke, as well as with Clary and Simon. She has this whole past that's just so badass and so awesome. It reminds me of like a mix of Isabel and Clary. I feel like she's such an awesome mom. Any parent, in my opinion, who can wear black leather pants is just, you automatically win in my books. Alright, so those are my top 5 favorite adult parent guardian figures, blah, you know what. If you have done a video, please leave a comment below, because I would love to check it out. And if you haven't done a video, tell me too who you would pick. Tell me what you thought of my picks. I will also leave in the little description box below the link to the Goodreads discussion on the Top 5 Wednesday tag, so you can look up the future topics. And I'm Miranda. Thank you all for watching, and leave a comment down below about all my picks and just any book, movie related thing. I will see you next time. Bye!